Shout out to Christine Brennan. Team USA, y'all need to stop playing. Hold on, wait a second. Y'all will recognize and appreciate Caitlin Clark as the face of this whole get up. Nobody's checking for these other, no disrespect. Great basketball players. That don't mean people checking for you. You mean to tell me y'all put other people's face all on the Team USA stuff and y'all left Caitlin Clark off of it?
This genuine disbelief hits hard because the biggest star in the sport is missing from the picture. This goes beyond simple disappointment. USA Basketball just dropped promo materials for their December training camp, and somehow the top name in the game is nowhere on the graphic. She is not hiding in the background. She is not buried in fine print. She is completely absent. We are talking about the player who lifted WNBA viewership by 400% in her rookie season, a player whose jersey sales beat every other female athlete combined. Yet USA Basketball chose to spotlight Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Kalia Copper instead. Christine Brennan, who has covered Olympic basketball since 1984, broke this at midnight Friday, and her reaction shows just how massive and costly this mistake
really wanted to go all out promoting women's basketball, bring new fans in, and get unprecedented attention for a team that dropped in TV viewership at the Paris Olympics. That's right, the women's USA viewership dropped at the Olympics in Paris. Nobody was watching it. They would have added the photo of one of the player to this graphic, but no. She continued.
Arenas that once sat half empty were selling out weeks in advance. She can see the context that makes this feel even worse. The Paris Olympics women's basketball team suffered a huge drop in viewership compared with past years. Brennan reported that TV ratings fell hard because casual fans had no real reason to tune in. The hardcore basketball crowd showed up, but the wider sports audience that fuels ad revenue and media buzz stayed away. Now compare that with what happened during Caitlin Clark's rookie WNBA season. Indiana Fever games averaged 1.2 million viewers on cable networks. Every game she played pulled crowds not seen in women's basketball for more than 2 decades. USA Basketball had the blueprint right in front of them. They watched the full WNBA season unfold. They saw the numbers, the merch sales, and global media flying in just to cover one player. Yet their answer to all that data was to leave her off the promo graphic completely. Over the last 60 days, I keep asking the same question.
Subject matter.
Yeah, well, I've given it, as you know, over the last 60 hours. I broke the news right around midnight, Friday to Saturday morning. And I think on both fronts, merit and publicity, you, of course, mentioned it, it's just a total swing and a miss by the national governing body, by USA Basketball, just a missed opportunity. And but I'll start with my answer by saying I have covered this women's.
Listen closely to what Brennan reveals about covering these gold medal matchups. She talks about standing in the press section, the assigned media space at Olympic arenas, and uses the phrase tumbleweeds to describe the crowd at a gold medal game for the most dominant team in Olympic basketball history. The U.S. women's squad has not lost at the Olympics, winning 7 straight gold medals across generations. They are seen as the most successful team in any Olympic sport, men or women. Yet reporters who follow basketball for a living are choosing to skip their games because the audience is not there to justify coverage. Bob Ryan, one of the most respected basketball voices in America, had talks with Brennan at the 2012 London Olympics about this problem. That was 12 years ago. The issue is not new. What is new is that women's basketball has a solution placed in front of it, and USA Basketball.
You put Caitlin Clark on that team, the team that so richly deserves attention and doesn't get it and won't get it without her, because there's just so much going on in an Olympics. On that same day, there probably will be 30 other gold medals given out, and sports editors and others have to make a decision. Do you go to Simone Biles? Do you go to women's soccer? Where do you go? It's not, there's just too much going on. You put Caitlin Clark on that team, and every single one of those guys that can't stand women's.
She is telling a truth that most people in sports media will never say out loud. There are reporters who will cover the men's Olympic basketball team but still refuse to cover the women's team, even when both teams play at the same venue. That is not a timing problem at all. That is a clear choice driven by what they believe audiences want. Those reporters make coverage calls based on what their editors will run and what their readers are most likely to click. When they ignore women's basketball, they are really saying their audience does not care. But that thinking changed completely during the 2024 WNBA season. Suddenly, the same reporters who avoided women's basketball were rushing to get credentials for Indiana Fever games. Big international outlets sent journalists to follow a rookie point guard in Indianapolis. Brennan even talks about a British reporter at the Masters golf tournament who told her he planned to cover Caitlin Clark at the Olympics. The interest was real, the global demand was real, the media system was ready, yet USA Basketball still left her off the Olympic roster, saying they had to reward veterans.
The Dream Team in 1992, Rich, the men's team, how that grew basketball around the world, especially for boys and men, and where it reached Africa. Well, the opportunity with Caitlin Clark's popularity, Africa, Europe, Asia. Think of how many number 22 USA jerseys would have been sold. Money that could have then been pumped back in to help have developmental programs in the.
She is making a bold comparison to the 1992 Dream Team, and it is no exaggeration at all. It is a real parallel. That original squad with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird did more than win gold. They changed how the world saw basketball. Kids across Africa, Europe, and Asia picked up the game because they watched that team. The NBA global growth over the last 30 years traces straight back to the exposure the Dream Team created. The league now features players from 40 different countries. International TV deals bring in billions of dollars. All of it began by putting the biggest stars on the Olympic stage. Brennan says Caitlin Clark offered the same chance for women basketball, not only in America, but around the world. Number 22 USA jerseys could have sold in places where women hoops barely register. Young girls in nations without strong leagues would have had a hero to follow and copy. The money alone would be massive. USA Basketball could have pushed that merch cash into development programs. They could have used higher media fees to support youth basketball across borders. Instead, they chose a path that favored short-term chemistry over.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Christine Brennan gets it. Brennan gets it. Regardless of how you feel about her, she's been on this stuff from the beginning. Caitlin Clark got disrespected by Team USA when they had her coming off the bench when she was, 17? Y'all had her coming off the bench behind Haley Van Lith. Like, what are y'all talking about?
This is why Brennan's voice matters more than ever. She is not a social media star chasing quick clicks. She is not a rookie reporter trying to build fame through controversy. She has covered every Olympics since 1984, written for major newspapers, and built sources across the entire USA Basketball organization. When she says she has seen the lack of interest up close, she means she has stood inside empty press sections at gold medal games for 4 decades. When she says her next interview is with a New Zealand radio show, she is showing that global media is now chasing this story. That is not normal for a simple promotional graphic dispute. That is international media realizing USA Basketball made a choice with worldwide impact. And look at the timing here. The December 12th training camp has not even started yet. This is only promotional material for a practice session, and it is already drawing worldwide media attention. That alone should tell USA Basketball.
Clark got disrespected by Team USA when they had her coming off the bench when she was, 17? Y'all had her coming off the bench behind Haley Van Lith. Like, what are y'all talking about? This stuff has been going on far too long. Team USA, y'all need to get it together. Respect the woman with the throne. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this.
This has been going on for far too long. Team USA, you have to get it together. Show respect to the woman who sits on the throne. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now let's look at the history that makes this even more frustrating. This is not the first time USA Basketball has mishandled Caitlin Clark. When she was just 17 playing for USA Basketball's youth teams, they had her coming off the bench instead of starting, while Haley Van Lith was getting those minutes. Think about that for a second. The player who would go on to shatter Pete Maravich's all-time NCAA scoring record, a mark that stood for 54 years, was used as a reserve on a youth national team. The same player who would later draw more media attention than any woman in basketball history wasn't seen as good enough to start for a junior squad. That's not hindsight. Even back then, Caitlin Clark was already showing elite talent. She was flashing court vision and shooting range that clearly set her apart from her peers, yet somehow USA Basketball's evaluation system decided she belonged on the bench. So here's what this whole promotional graphic controversy really shows. It's not just a marketing slip. It's part of a larger pattern where USA Basketball keeps undervaluing the player who has done more to grow women's basketball than anyone in the last 20 years. Think about their mission statement. Yes, they exist to win medals, but they also say their goal is to grow the sport. That's written right into their purpose. Growing the sport means building the audience, boosting participation, driving media attention, and creating long-term financial strength. By every one of those measures, Caitlin Clark is the most valuable asset women's basketball has. She pulled in millions of casual fans who had never watched a WNBA game before. She inspired young girls everywhere to pick up a basketball. She brought massive media coverage from outlets that usually ignore women. And she proved financial potential by showing the game can be profitable when it's marketed the right way. USA Basketball watched all of this unfold during the 2024 season. They had a front-row seat to the sport's commercial transformation. And when it was time to promote their December training camp, they released a graphic highlighting returning Olympians from a team that delivered disappointing viewership. That's not just tone-deaf. That's organizational failure. That's a leadership group that doesn't understand its own product or its own audience. The WNBA just secured a new CBA that boosted salaries and benefits in a major way. That deal came in a climate of rising attendance, climbing ratings, and growing sponsor interest. And all of that momentum was driven mainly by the attention Caitlin Clark created. Players across the league gained financially from her impact, whether they admit it or not. That CBA doesn't happen without real audience growth. And that growth doesn't happen without the player who made women's basketball must-watch TV for millions. Now USA Basketball is gearing up for the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics. These are huge chances to build on what 2024 started. Los Angeles will bring home crowds, primetime exposure, and global media focus far bigger than Paris ever saw. But momentum doesn't carry itself. The casual fans who found the sport through Caitlin Clark need a reason to stay. They need to see the star who brought them here playing on the biggest stage. If USA Basketball leaves her off the roster again or keeps minimizing her in promotions, those fans will fade away. And here's the truth about lost momentum. Once it's gone, you don't get it back. The 2024 season was lightning in a bottle. A generational talent, a powerful story, and a media world hungry for something new came together to create magic. USA Basketball can either build